What's up, Agents Rock? I have a great topic today. If you are an agent, what you should be doing in order to prepare for 2023 as an agent. No matter if you're seasoned, if you're new, there's certain things you need to be doing. And I'm a big believer that if you're going to try to prepare for the following year, you need to sit with yourself at least a minimum of 3 months or 4 months prior to the end of the year and really audit your business. And what I mean by auditing, see what's been working for you for this year so you can duplicate it for next year. See what hasn't been working. See what your expenses for the year looks like, right? If you're spending too much money on something that's not yielding you the right results, find out why. And if you're doing everything to maximize results and it's still not giving you a good return, cut that fat out, right? And focus on what is yielding you results. And I found something very interesting yesterday. I was on Zillow, and I always look at market share on Zillow that's available. And if you looked at Zillow about 6 months ago, it was very difficult for you to find any available market share in the New Jersey market. And surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, because I know what this means, but surprisingly to a certain degree, I noticed that there was a lot of market share in specific zip codes that are red hot towns. And what that tells me, that's a key indicator that a lot of real estate agents are removing themselves from certain expenses. And I'm not necessarily saying that you should remove yourself from Zillow. I think that if you see a return on investment, whether it's on Zillow, Realtor.com, or any referral platform, or rather any lead generation platform, I think you should keep on paying for it, right? It's a worthwhile investment. So look at where you're spending your money. Look at what is bringing you in a result, right? And then double down on that. Continue going through with it for the following year. But look at your numbers. I sit down with a lot of agents from our office and we look at numbers. We look at what they did for the year and what they are on track. And then we ask each other, I ask them, where do you want to be next year? Forget about the economy. Forget about the market. I don't care if the market's up, if the market's down. Forget about the shift, right? Let's adapt to the new market. We know that the market has been shifting. What's going on right now, right? There's not as much buyer demand. Rates are very high. That's caused a lot of buyers to basically sit on the sidelines and say, you know what, let me wait it out. I think the market, or I think real estate prices are going to come down. I think that interest rates at some point will start to come down, right? And I know that a lot of agents are telling their buyers, well, marry the house. Don't marry the rate, or marry the house and date the rate, stuff like that. Guys, a lot of buyers out there are extremely intelligent. They're very smart. They do a lot of research, especially today, right, where all that information is there. And a lot of buyers understand that if they purchase a property with a 6.5 interest rate and they're putting 5% down and the market falls down 10, 15% next year, you're not going to be able to refinance because you have to have equity. And within a year or two, you haven't bought down the principal enough to have built enough equity if you only put 5% down and the market came down 10%, right? So don't tell your buyers that, because you may cause some friction there with certain buyers who really know what's going on and understand the mortgage process. That's not what I want you to do. Get in the habit of supporting your buyer's decision, right? Don't be of the mindset of instant gratification. If your buyer is not ready, find out why. And if that's a cause of concern, right, support their decision. They're not going to go anywhere. If they're not a buyer today, they're going to be a buyer in the future, right? And same thing with like cold calling, and same thing with like marketing. A lot of agents feel like, well, if that person's not willing to buy or sell right now, they're not a client. They're never going to be a client. No. There are a lot of people, like my mom, who are not ready to ever buy again, who probably will never sell their home, but they can become a referral source. They can refer you lots of business. And what I want you to start focusing in the near future, right, especially for 2023, is how do you build core relationships with those type of people, which is the vast majority. Vast majority of people are not willing to buy and they're not willing to sell. They bought their home and that's what it is. They don't want an investment property. They're content going to work, feeding their 401k, feeding their other retirement investment accounts, and that's it. Not everybody wants to be a landlord, and you need to understand that, and that is okay. It doesn't mean that they're right or wrong. That's their prerogative, and you need to support their decision. Now, what's not okay is you thinking that just because they're never going to buy or sell, that they can't feed you clientele. They can become a huge referral source. My mother is single-handedly my best referral source. Think about your past clients. Your past clients who probably aren't going to sell anytime soon, who probably aren't going to buy a house anytime soon, they can continuously refer you business, and I'm sure they have. It's the same thing with people that you're trying to build a relationship with. Focus on building an actual relationship, and you need to be of the mindset. You truly need to be of the mindset that you need to be genuinely interested in that person. Extract the commission breath from it. Be interested in them. It should be a two-way street. Build a great relationship. Nurture that relationship. So that way they are giving you clientele because they know that you truly care. All right. And that's what it's about, right? Building great relationships, not around money, not around commission, but building a relationship because there's a genuine interest in that person. And that person will then have a genuine interest in helping you with your business as well. That's what this is about. But let's go back to focusing on 2023, what you should be doing, right? So auditing yourself, number one, writing down your goals for the following year, right? And look, if your goal is to do the same amount of transactions as the year prior, that's okay. That's okay. What's not okay is if you have to work harder to do the same amount of transactions. But if you're working less, if you're putting in less efforts to do the same amount of transactions, same amount of dollar volume, units, etc., that's okay. To me, that's progress. What isn't progress is if you have to work harder to yield the same results. That is not progress. And you have to really find out what's going on in your business. Why are you working so much? Why are you working so much harder this year than the year before? Are you not focusing on your past clients? Are you not focusing on referrals? Because referrals are easy to get. Very easy to get, right? Now, what should you be doing in addition to writing down your goals? Finding out what you're going to be doing differently next year than you did the year before. And what I mean by this is sort of this. Say that 70% of your transactions were buyers and the other 30% were listings. You want to change that number around a little bit. You want listings to be a little bit higher the following year and the year after and the year after. What are you going to do to create more opportunities where you're going to be in front of more sellers? And that's what you need to focus every year, year after year. That's what single-handedly changed my real estate career when I was in production a couple of years ago. When I started to focus more on listings, because I knew that it requires less time to nurture a listing than it does working with a buyer, right? When you're working with a buyer, you're out on the weekends, you're out during the week. Sometimes you're showing 8, 10 homes, right? A lot of times you're making several offers. Those offers might fall. You know, the evolution of that transaction when you're working with a buyer is a lot more lengthier than it is when you're working with a seller. And once I knew that, and once I understood that, I said to myself, in order for me to buy back more time so I can spend that time more wisely with my children, because that's what I wanted to do, that was my goal, I said, I need more listings. And when I started focusing on more listings, creating more opportunities there, right, it changed my ratio in terms of how many people I was working with that were sellers versus buyers. It went from 30-70 to about 70-30, the other way around, vice versa. And now I had more time for my kids. And in addition to that, right, I had more opportunities also on the buying side because a lot of people would call me, a lot of buyers would call me on my listings. So once I understood that, I said, let me focus more on listings. What are some of the things you could do to focus more on listings? Well, pick 1 or 2 areas that you really want to work in. You know, let's say you wanted to focus on a specific town. Don't blanket the entire town. Don't focus on the entire town. Pick 1 or 2 pockets, 1 or 2 neighborhoods in that town and farm that area. And a lot of people, a lot of agents think, well, I'm just going to send out mailers every month or every quarter, and that should do it. It's not going to work. Right? It's not going to work. If you really want to dominate an area, if you really want to focus on listings, right, you have to touch those homeowners as many times as you can. So what are some of the things you should do? Well, number one, I'm a big believer that you should send out mailers every month, at least for the first 8 months. Number 2, I think at some point you deserve the right to start cold calling those people because they're now getting your marketing material. You should spotlight the entire town. You should spotlight the businesses in that area and be the data provider of that area to that specific pocket that you're focusing on. So if a new business opens up, Send out a mailer to everybody in that neighborhood or all the people that you're trying to focus on regarding that business. But introduce yourself to the business owner as well and see if maybe you can create like a promo code. So if it's a new pizzeria that opened up, right? Find out if you can create a promo code where the people that you're marketing to are going to take advantage of a discount, right? And that helps out the business owner as well. You're marketing not only for yourself, but you're also marketing for the business owner. Ringless voicemails, those, that software or that system is great. This is where people don't get a phone call. They simply get a voicemail. They think they missed a phone call from you, and you're just simply leaving them a voicemail. What are great opportunities to leave voicemails? Well, Thanksgiving, the holidays, right? Whenever a business opens up, those are great opportunities for you to send out a ringless voicemail. And the more touches you create, the more times you're in front of a client or a potential client, right? The more that you deserve the right to be able to pick up the phone and have a conversation, because it's not so much a cold call anymore. It's more of a soft call where, hey, it's Mike Gomes. I don't know if you've been getting my marketing material. And they're probably going to say, yeah, actually, no, we did. We got your voicemail the other day. Thank you so much for wishing us a happy Thanksgiving. We really appreciate that. Oh, awesome. Look, I just wanted to let you know that a brand new business in the area just opened up, or the house down the street just got listed, or a house down the street just got sold. I don't know if you're aware of it. And I know that you probably are not looking to sell your property. Who is, right? This is a great neighborhood. But I just wanted to find out from you, if you knew of somebody that's looking to buy or sell, would you consider recommending me? That's what it's about, right? You have to give before you ask for something in return, right? It's about making micro deposits before you make a withdrawal, right? It's not about sending out one mailer and thinking you can now ask for something back. No, don't do that. You don't deserve the right, and you shouldn't be thinking in those terms, right? So those are one of the things that you can do to be in front of more listing opportunities, right? So what else can you do in order to change for the following year, gear up for a better year or for progress, right? If there's market share in Zillow, if there's market share in another referral platform, lead platform like Realtor.com, or even those referral platforms that there isn't an upfront cost like UpNest, HomeLight, where you just pay a referral fee of 35% or up to 35%, right? Try to gain as much market share in the areas that you're focusing on. So if you're focusing on a town like Rahway, New Jersey, for example, right, and you're going after as many listings, and now all of a sudden, let's say another 15% of market share in Zillow opened up, and it's only going to cost you an extra $1,000, make the investment, because now people are going to see that you're heavily invested in that area. When I say people, homeowners in that area, they're going to see that not only are you listing homes, but now you're also representing buyers. And those opportunities that you create are going to create other opportunities in the near future for you. So think in terms of how much market share can you grab in the areas that you're already farming, right? And that's exactly what, I spoke with one of our agents yesterday when I saw that there was market share in the town that he was looking to focus on. I said, look, Stephen, that's his name. Stephen, you can purchase $2,000 right now of Zillow leads per month. They're going to guarantee you 8 leads per month in that area. And that's going to give you even more brand recognition or name recognition in that area if people start to see you pop up in that town, in that zip code. I think it's worth the investment, right? Especially for 8 leads per month, right? What are we talking about? If the conversion rate is somewhere around close to 10%, right? In 2 months, or let's say in 3 months, right? That's 24 leads. That's a little over 2 leads that you're going to convert based on that average. So what is that going to equate to? Well, in that market area that he's in, the average commission check is about $12,000. That's $36,000 in commission that he's going to accrue. It's well worth it for him, especially because he's making only a $12,000 investment over the course of 6 months. And guys, here's a little golden nugget for you. I saw a lot of market share open up in Zillow right now, and I'm telling you this from not only experience, but because of what happened yesterday when I spoke to Steven. Zillow is willing to offer you a deal. They gave him 1 month free. So he only had to pay for 5 months. They locked him in for 6, but he only had to pay for 5 months. So he got $2,000 extra of leads. So go ahead. If that market share is open in the town that you're looking to focus on, contact Zillow today, contact Realtor.com. A lot of people have pulled out of their lead gen, right? So it could be a great opportunity for you. This happened in COVID where a lot of people are like, oh my God, COVID happened. I'm going to get off Zillow. I'm going to get off Realtor.com. And they did. And what ended up happening is Zillow slashed prices, and the people that got in, those prices got grandfathered in, and they took advantage because COVID, when COVID happened, right after that, the market just jumped up. And those people benefited from being on Zillow, Realtor.com, and a lot of other platforms. All right. So another thing you need to do, right? Going into a market that has shifted a little bit, when you're talking about auditing yourself, auditing your business, gearing up for the following year, real estate is very much like, being an entrepreneur. A lot of entrepreneurs, they don't just buy one business, they buy several businesses. I want you to think in those terms. When you're a real estate agent, right, you should be focusing on your money funnel and how many avenues, how many streams of income do you have? And those streams equate to what is going to put money in your pocket. Lead gen, right? Some of the prospecting activities, cold calling, circle prospecting. You need to create as many streams to feed your funnel as possible. If you're relying on one stream right now, if Zillow is your only stream, you're not going to do better next year than you did last year. You need to add to that, right? What are some of the things you can do in order to add more revenue in your pocket, right? Doubling down on your leads, cold calling, circle prospecting, door knocking, anything that you can control frequency, anything that you can control consistency. And that's a big theme for me moving on, because a lot of agents have gotten, and I don't want to insult anybody, but I'm speaking from experience. I've been lucky as well in the past where it's like I didn't do much, but I saw a lot of business come my way. And it's not always going to be this way. You have to focus on what you can control, right? What are some of the things that you can focus on that's going to really provide you with consistency and frequency? So that way you're not as dependent on programs or, lead gens like Zillow and Realtor.com, right? Building relationships outside of those programs are important. The door knocking, the nurturing relationships, the follow-ups, the, adding onto, other lead gens like Upnest, HomeLight, Redfin, building relationships with business owners in the area that you're trying to target because they're micro influencers in those towns, right? In addition to many other things that you can truly control the frequency in it, that you can truly control the consistency. And for those who don't know the difference, right? Frequency is how often you're going to do something versus how long you're going to do it, right? And a lot of those prospecting activities that I mentioned in the past, right, such as the door knocking, such as, the cold calling, those things require you to do it for a certain amount of time. It requires consistency. If you cold called for 1 month, right, that's not enough time for you to see results. You have to do it for a minimum of 90 days. With real estate, it's always 90 days. 90 days for everything. Cold calling, door knocking, circle prospecting, sending out mailers. I get a lot of agents like, hey, Mike, I sent out mailers for 2 weeks. I got nothing. And call me when you've done it for 6 months. And then we can have a conversation. Maybe you're doing something wrong. Maybe the language, maybe the message is wrong. But in 2 weeks, that's not enough time. You have to do it for a long period of time, right? So focus on that consistency, focus on the frequency. What does that look like? You should be doing things 3 times, 4 times a week, right? If you're going to cold call, don't cold call 500 people one day and do it once a month. No, cold call 25, 50 people per day, 3 days a week. If you're going to circle prospect, same thing. If you're going to door knock, right? Door knock 20, 30 doors. Do it 2 times a week. Do it 3 times a week. Focus on not only the frequency, but the consistency, and do it over a time of 3, 4, 5, 6 months. That's how long it takes to build relationships. Think of it like this. Imagine somebody you just met for the first time. Right? Is that person going to be your best friend, right? Remember your best friend? How long did it take for you to develop a relationship to the point where you called him or her your best friend? It took months, years. It's the same thing. You have to develop a certain amount of time, or rather you have to focus on a certain amount of time to develop a relationship. You have to nurture the relationship. You have to manifest, cultivate, all of that. And then you deserve the right, or you reserve the right to say that you've done it long enough, to say that you've been as consistent as possible, right? So you have to focus on how much time you're going to commit to certain activities. What else can you do, right? What are some of the things that you really need to focus for the following year? I mentioned change. What do you want to change, right? I mentioned before you want to focus more on listings. Great. If that's your thing. Some people don't want to focus more on listings. But what do you want to change? Do you want more time for yourself, for certain hobbies, right? That you need to build that in. What are you going to do in order for you to have more time for yourself, for your kids, or for certain things you want to do, for your health? What are you going to do differently? That should be part of your planning for the following year. Do you want to vacation more? That should be part of your plan for next year. It should be part of your goals, right? It should be part of your quarterly goals, all of that, right? And it's important for you to write down your goals, because if you're like me, if you don't see it written down, then I can't have it manifested in my head. I have to write everything down, everything, so I can create a roadmap for myself. And that's the purpose of creating quarterly goals and writing down what you need to do, right? You need to have a clear path, a clear road to your goals, right? If you're going to do 24 transactions at the end of next year, and you only did, let's say, 18 for 2022, what are you going to do? Write them down. All right, this is what I'm going to do, right? In addition to what I've already done, right? Write down everything. Make sure you are held accountable to these things, because that's important as well. No one's going to hold you accountable better than yourself. That's just the reality, right? It's the reason why a lot of people fail, unfortunately, because they're not holding themselves accountable. And you have to be extremely self-aware. And if you are not, hire a coach. That's why a lot of agents will hire a coach. The coach is going to hold you accountable to what you said you're going to change, or what you said you're going to be doing. And if you don't have a budget for a coach, find out somebody who is really direct, somebody who you respect, a friend, or a coworker that they're going to tell you exactly what it is. Someone who's not afraid to say, "Hey, you're messing up. You're not holding yourself accountable. Why haven't you done this? You said you're going to do it. Why haven't you done it? Let's find out why you haven't done it." I've given an example before in past podcasts about me wanting to make a change for 2022, the latter part of it for my health, right? And that required me going to the gym. And I knew that my biggest issue was going to the gym. Like that moment from me picking myself off the couch, getting in my car, and driving 10 minutes to go to the gym. And I said, I know that I don't have it in me to hold myself accountable for me to get to the gym 4 to 5 days a week. So what am I going to do? I hired an accountability partner, somebody who I knew was going to pester me, somebody who I knew wasn't afraid to call me out on my SHIT, someone who I knew was going to say, "Hey, why aren't you at the gym? What's going on? Like, you need somebody who's going to call me 3-4 times a day." And I did. And that person has done a great job. And because of them always holding me accountable, I've developed a good habit where now it's ingrained in my brain. It's ingrained in my everyday schedule where I'm at the gym 4 to 5 days a week. Sometimes I'm at the gym every day now. I'm eating healthy, stuff like that, right? So if you have to hire an accountability partner, go ahead and hire an accountability partner. Do everything that's necessary in order for you to be able to put yourself in the best position to reach success, whatever that may look like. All right, what else can you be doing in order to gear up for next year? What are some of the things that you should be doing? Maybe being part of a masterminding with other agents, seeing what they are doing that has, achieved success over the course of the last 12 months. You should be rubbing elbows with people that you want to be like. I made it a great point in the last couple of years for me to be around people that I aspired to be, people that inspired me, people that I called role models, people that when I look at them, I say, you know what? I respect that person. I want to be just like that person. Be around those people. Don't be around people that drag you down. Right? And that should be part of your goals. A lot of people are probably thinking, well, is that part? Yeah, that should. Being around people that are going to push you to do better. I've never seen somebody that's been broke be around multimillionaires and continue to be broke. Here's what happens. If you're not rich, if you have, if you make $50,000 and you're around people that are making $1 million every year and you're around those people consistently, your mindset, your attitude, your demeanor, everything's going to change about you. Those people are going to directly and indirectly influence you for you to want to do better. right? And it's not always necessarily about the money, right? If you're around somebody who's just a great human being, a role model, who's always the person in the room that helps people just be a better person, a better human, those are the people you want to be around too as well, right? It's not always about the money. It's about your attitude towards life, right? If somebody that you're around always makes you better, makes you think at, life differently, gives you a different perspective, then that's who you need to be attached to as well. Be around those people as much as possible, right? And also, guys, focus on referrals. Like 2023 versus 2022, you should be focusing so much on your past clients, right? Build relationships. I can't fathom why agents don't call their past clients more often. Number one, those people want to hear from you. They're happy to hear from you. Don't put them on an auto email or a newsletter, right? That's fine if you're also calling them, right? A CRM, client relationship management system, shouldn't be a substitute for you calling your past clients. Call them every 3 months, call them on important holidays, call them on their anniversaries, on their birthdays. They want to hear from you. And the more you are genuinely interested in that person, the more they want to give back to you. Every time they're at a barbecue, watch this. Every time they're at a barbecue, family function, at an event, and real estate is being brought up, and real estate is always brought up, by the way, guys, that person is going to recommend you all the time. All the time. If you have 10 past clients, right? Let's say you've closed 10 deals this past year. Every one of those individuals, right? You have to start looking at their lifelong value. Every one of those individuals can refer you 10 clients. Now, every one of those 10 clients can refer you to another 10 clients. You follow me? You see the compound effect of this? It's enormous. That's why referrals are important. That's why being genuinely interested in your clients are extremely important. I'm a big believer. Next year, here's what you should do. Gearing up for next year, do a client appreciation party. If you only have 10 clients, great. Invite them for dinner or for a happy hour, those 10 people, right? If it's 50 clients, do the same thing, right? Invite them over to an event where it's all about them. It's all about you catering to them and your level of appreciation, your token of appreciation for them giving you the opportunity. That's what they're doing. They're giving you the opportunity for you to represent them on the biggest purchase or sale of their life. Treat them as so, right? Treat them as family. Treat them, not only treat them as family, but also make sure that you let them know how appreciative you were of that opportunity and that you seize the moment and you understand, right? Be grateful. Let them know. It's important for them to know, extremely important. And that's another thing that I think that it's big, right? You just, be in contact with those people as much as you can, right? And then focus on your funnel. What are you going to add that you haven't added the previous year? What are you going to do differently, like I mentioned, right? What change do you want? And if you have goals, what are you going to do every day to work towards it? Let me give you an example. Let's say your goal is to do 30 transactions, right? And let's say the average conversion rate, let's say it's 5%, which it is. It could be better, but let's say the average conversion rate's 5%. That means if you divide 30 by 5%, that means that you need to be in front of 600 leads for the year, right? 600 leads. That means that's 50 people per month. 50 people per month. I don't care about that number. I care about what does it look like weekly. It's 12 people. That means you have to create opportunities to be in front of 12 leads. If you cold call somebody and they pick up the phone, that's 1. If you go door knock and they open up the door, that's 2. If you circle prospect, right, and they answer the phone, that's 3. If you do an open house and 3 people walk in, that's 6. You get where I'm going at it. Only you can create those opportunities by focusing on that frequency, by focusing on your consistency, by focusing on the prospecting activities that are required. So if you want to do more transactions, that means you need to be in front of more people. That means you need to create more opportunities. That means you need to commit more to certain things. What are those things you're going to commit more to, right? Write them down. And that's how you get to your goals. And make sure that if you're going to get to 30, all right, what does that look like quarterly? What does it look like quarterly? You divide that number by 4, right? What does that look like? 7, 8, right? Say it's 7. 7 per quarter. What are you going to do to get there? What are your weekly activities? What are your daily activities? What is your monthly goals? So you know you're on track. And if you're not on track, then you know that obviously you need to increase the frequency. If you are on track, great. Here's what I would do. I would still increase the frequency so you can overachieve that number. So instead of getting to 30, get to 36, right? Get to 40, whatever the case may be. The formula is there. It's just working on it. There's no secret ingredient in this business. It's just, staying accountable to the activities that are necessary to move that needle forward in your business. If you pay for leads and you want to be transactional, I promise you next year that's not going to work out for you. You can't be just transactional, right? You have to focus on relationships. You have to focus on how to continue to nurture. I've been a big culprit of this in the past. When I started, in the mortgage business, I would close, never call that person again. Then I would call them 2 years later. Here's what would happen. They would tell me that they refinanced with somebody else. How do you think that made me feel? It made me feel bad because I knew exactly what happened. It was on me. I was responsible. I had to hold myself accountable. I needed to focus on building those relationships even after I closed. You can't think just because you closed on somebody and now that person was your client that they're going to just call you whenever they're ready to buy or sell the next property. That doesn't work like that. I think the stats are that 69% of agents or 69% of sellers don't use their previous agent. Why? Lack of communication. That's all it was. Lack of communication. Well, they didn't bother to call me. I wasn't that important in their life. And guess what? I agree with them. If it's not that important to you, it shouldn't be that important to them either. All right, so guys, gear up for 2023. I think a lot of market share is going to open up. This is my prediction. I don't have the crystal ball, but I think here's what's going to happen. From what I saw already yesterday when I was looking through Zillow for market share and I saw how much market share has opened up, I think a lot of agents are going to decrease their spending. I think a lot of agents are going to leave the business, the agents that haven't done well, the agents that really need to go back to a 9-to-5. That's going to open more market share for you. And if you focus on relationships, if you focus on that frequency that I mentioned, those activities that I spoke about, the door knocking, the cold calling, being part of your community, all of that, I think you're going to start gaining 10, 15, 20% or more market share in the areas that you're looking to farm. Really built out a great system for yourself, built out a campaign. Don't be that agent that's only doing mailers. Be the agent that's touching, that same person 7, 8, 9 times, right? What's the point of that? It's to stay top of mind. The more you are top of mind in somebody's head, the more you increase the chance of them calling you whenever they're looking to refer you somebody or looking to buy or looking to sell. That's just the reality. This business is all about being top of mind. What are you doing to be top of mind in your neighborhood? Because I promise you, it sucks when you see your next door neighbor with a for sale sign and it's another agent or they're trying to sell the home by themselves, right? For sale by owner. You want to get to a point where if somebody is considering selling their home, they're at least thinking of you. If they chose to go somewhere else, as long as they thought of you, as long as they gave you the opportunity to at least meet with them, you now know you're doing what you're supposed to be doing in that area. So focus on your area, focus on farming, focus on building relationships, write down your goals, have a clear roadmap, right, to get to your goals. Make sure you break that down quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily. Right? A daily goal should be you focusing on the frequency. Like, all right, I'm going to call 25 people today. That's a daily goal, right? A weekly goal should be you focusing on, let's say, 3 or 4 prospecting activities, cold calling, circle prospecting, following up, etc. Monthly goal should be you just looking at your overall activities, what you've done, every day, every week, and what your pipeline looks like. Your pipeline lead, or rather, you should be doing a pipeline report every month with yourself, right? So if you're going to have to get to 7 transactions every quarter, right, and you only have 3 deals in your pipeline, you already know you're not going to get to that goal. So that's why it's important. It's a wake-up call. Oh my God, my pipeline's soft. I need to get more deals on the contract. I need more listings. I need to do more. That's when you know you need to do more. All right, so instead of calling 25 or cold calling 25 people 3 times a week, I'm going to cold call 50 people 3 times a week. Instead of door knocking 10 doors, I'm going to door knock 20 or 30. Right? That is how you know whether or not you need to increase your input, right? In order for you to get to your output. That's all it's about. All right, guys, look, happy holidays. We're gearing up for the holidays. We're gearing up for next year. This is a great opportunity as things start to slow down for you to sit down and really think about next year. What are the changes? What have you learned? What do you want to implement, right? What are some of your failures? Learn from that. That's why I love failing, because you learned why you failed, right? Was there something in that process that you could have tweaked that maybe would have turned that failure into a success? Audit yourself, really audit yourself, and focus on your goals and focus on relationships and tell yourself what you want to change. All right. Happy holidays from the entire staff here at Agents Rock. Peace out.